Ladies and gentlemen, as we strive for progress in the field of psychiatry, we often encounter shadows that grow in proportion to the heights we reach. There are elements in our environment who harbor jealousy towards our advancements, and some self-proclaimed mental health experts who offer false panaceas. Additionally, there are those who attempt to denigrate the field of psychiatry. In light of these challenges, we have organized a crucial panel discussion to shed light on this matter. I have the privilege of inviting esteemed panelists onto the dais to share their valuable insights. Joining us today are Dr. N. Raju as moderator, Dr. T.P. Sudhakar from Tirupati, Dr. G.V. Ramana Rao from Bhimavaram, and Dr. UmaJyothi from Guntur as panelists. Dr. N. Raju brings a wealth of experience and expertise to the discussion. With his extensive knowledge in the field of psychiatry, he is well equipped to address the challenges we face and offer valuable perspectives. Alongside him, we have Dr. T.P. Sudhakar from Tirupati, whose insights and expertise will greatly enrich our understanding of the subject. Joining this esteemed panel is Dr. G.V. Ramana Rao from Bhimavaram, whose vast experience in the field of psychiatry will provide valuable insights and perspectives. Lastly, we have Dr. UmaJyothi from Guntur, whose contributions to the field of mental health make her a valuable asset to this discussion. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. N. Raju, a distinguished psychiatrist with an impressive background. He obtained his MBBS from Andhra Medical College and MD from CIP Ranchi. Throughout his career, Dr. Raju has held various academic and administrative positions of great significance. He served as a lecturer in CMC Vellore and later as the head of the department and professor of psychiatry at Andhra Medical College. In the administrative realm, he served as the Vice Dean of Andhra Medical College in Visakhapatnam and as the Medical Superintendent of the Government Hospital for Mental Care in Visakhapatnam. Dr. Raju has made significant contributions to the Indian Psychiatric Society. He has held several positions within IPS, including Executive Committee member and Honorary General Secretary. He has also served as the President of the Indian Psychiatric Society and held roles as Editor, Secretary, and President of IPSAP State. Furthermore, he has contributed as the Secretary of IPS South Zone. As an author, Dr. Raju has made valuable contributions to the field of psychiatry. He is the author of the IPS textbook of undergraduate psychiatry, a monogram on OCD, and has been the lead author of the current practice guidelines of IPS. He has also published several original papers in indexed journals. Currently, Dr. Raju holds the position of Professor and Head of the Department of Psychiatry at GVP Medical College in Visakhapatnam. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. T.P. Sudhakar. He did his MBBS at SVMC and his MD at AIIMS, New Delhi. Currently, Dr. Sudhakar holds the position of Professor at Apollo Medical College, Chittoor, after serving at Sri Venkateswara Medical College and SWIMS, Tirupati. With extensive experience in teaching, he has been a UG teacher since 1983 and a PG teacher since 1986. He has also served as a PG examiner since 1997 and has been a guide to 27 PG dissertations. Additionally, he has served as an examiner for DNBA. Dr. Sudhakar is an esteemed member of various professional organizations, including IPS, IAPP, IABP, IAGMH, and IMA. He is an international member of the APA, further enhancing his global perspective in the field. Throughout his career, Dr. Sudhakar has held numerous leadership positions and contributed significantly to the field. He served as the CME Chair for IPS in 2016 to 2017, President of IPS South Zone in 2017 to 2018, Chair of the Awards Committee for IAPP in 2018 to 2020 and IPS in 2019 to 2020, Chairperson of the IPS PG Committee in 2019 to 2020, and Advisor in 2021 to 2022. His notable achievements include being the principal investigator for the UMJYOTHI multi-centered global ECA study on mental disorders from 2003 to 2007 and involvement in 50 global trials with new drugs. He has authored over 20 publications and contributed chapters to 2 books. Dr. Sudhakar's contributions to the field have been recognized through various awards, including the Dr. D.S. Raju Oration by IPS Andhra Pradesh Chapter in 2016, the Prashanti Hospital Oration by IPS Telangana, the Vishakha Oration by IPS South Zone, and the Nellore Psychiatric Society Oration. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Dr. G.V. Ramana Rao. He completed his MBBS from Rangaraya Medical College, Kakinada, and obtained an MD in Psychiatry from Andhra Medical College, Visakhapatnam. Dr. Ramana Rao is an international distinguished fellow of the American Psychiatric Association and has held several prestigious positions throughout his career. He served as the president of IPS, AP chapter in 1995 to 1996 and the president of UmaJyothi branch in 2006 to 2007. He was honored with the Best President IMAP State Award for his exceptional leadership during that period. He has made significant contributions in the field of psychiatry and has held various important roles, including chairman for the Task Force on Yoga and Meditation of the Indian Psychiatric Society for 2020 to 2021, chairperson of the Subcommittee for Homeless Persons with Mental Illness of IPS AP State for 2020 to 2021, and organizing chairperson for the International Conference on Spirituality on International Yoga Day in 2021. Dr. Ramana Rao has received the prestigious Dr. D.S. Raju Oration Award in 2021 to 2022. He has also served as a former Associate Professor of Psychiatry at Ashram Medical College, Iluru, and is currently a member of the State Mental Health Authority. He is Consultant Psychiatrist at Shanti Hospitals, Bhimavaram, where he continues to provide dedicated care to his patients. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce Dr. Neeli UmaJyothi, a highly accomplished psychiatrist with a remarkable background. Dr. Jyothi completed her MBBS degree at Guntur Medical College. She further pursued her MD in psychiatry at Kasturba Medical College. Dr. Jyothi's extensive work experience is a testament to her dedication and expertise in the field. She began her career as an assistant professor in Guntur, where she served from 2002 to 2011. She then progressed to the role of associate professor from 2011 to 2017. Dr. Jyothi has since held the prestigious position of professor and head of the department at both Government Medical College, Ongole, 2017 to 2021, and Government General Hospital, Guntur, 2021 onwards till date. Her exceptional contributions to medical education led to her appointment as Vice Principal of Guntur Medical College from 2020 to March 2023. Currently, she serves as the Principal of Guntur Medical College, starting from April 2023. Dr. Jyothi's areas of interest in psychiatry are focused on community psychiatry, where she actively works to improve mental health services at the community level. Additionally, she has a special interest in child and adolescent psychiatry, dedicating her expertise to address the unique mental health needs of young individuals. We are honored to have Dr. Neeli UmaJyothi with us today, and we eagerly anticipate her insightful contributions and valuable expertise for this panel discussion. Thank you.
Almost more than an hour behind the schedule. Probably, I think we will rush through the panel discussions. Thanks to Dr. Rama Reddy's magnanimity of inviting us onto the dais, and also the organizing committee, and also the executive committee of IPSAP chapter. We thank them for allowing us to have some discussion on combating unscientific mental health claims by unqualified experts, with special emphasis on growing anti-psychiatric trends. With experts, both psychiatrists and non-psychiatrists, all of them making some tall claims of either treating or not treating psychiatric disorders. Because when it comes to psychiatric disorders, everybody thinks he is an expert. Everybody thinks he can do it. Everybody gives an advice. I think your spouse is your biggest expert in treating your mental health problems. So, and as a father, you think you can do anything with your child. So, now we may not cover all those things. We don't enter those dangerous areas, but I'm sure we will be covering areas of this, what this anti-psychiatry is all about. Probably the younger generation do not have much, I think, introduction to this movement. I'm sure somebody like Dr. Sudhakar, who has seen this growth and criticism of psychiatry for the last 4 decades, I think he will enlighten us what exactly it means, how we evolved over a period of time. Dr. Sudhakar.
Thank you, Dr. Raju. Before we talk about people who have been talking against psychiatry, I don't know whether to really call them as anti-psychiatrists, because most of them, they were psychiatrists themselves. But when it comes to very psychiatric term itself, I don't know how many of you know when this term has entered into the nomenclature. When psychiatry as a term was used for a mental health specialist. Anybody? In that case, I will just tell about one Johannes Christian Reddy. He was a German anatomist and a physiologist. He first talked about the term psychiatry, probably denoting the doctor's specialty that talks about mental illness and tries to manage it. So it was the management of mental illness that was termed as psychiatry. This was way back in 1806 or 1880, somewhere around that time. And since then, psychiatry had been established initially as a subspecialty of neurology. And of course, with Charcot and Freud, it became more and more psychoanalytically oriented approach that has come up. And the influence of the psychoanalysis was so much, even after the death of Freud. And because of these Freudian and neo-Freudian theories, there used to be a lot of theory and no practical evidence to say that whatever they were talking was true or not. And of course, the present generation of psychiatrists are so lucky, they don't read much about Freud. Freud had almost become a footnote in most of the textbooks. Whereas we have been reading The American textbook of psychiatry, some of my contemporaries or some of the seniors like Professor Krishnamurti, these people may be remembering American textbook of psychiatry, which used to come in 5 volumes. And even for fever, they used to have a psychological explanation. And actually, if you can pick up these books and read, you will start laughing at it. So for every physical ailment, there used to be a psychoanalytical theory, a repressed ego and all that, ego defenses, all those things. So with all these nonsensical things that's happening in psychiatry, along with the parallel development of the various other things, like institutionalization, putting all the mentally ill patients in asylums and treating them like animals, where they were exhibited to the general public regularly for the maintenance of the asylum itself, for a fee from the visitors. These things were very, very cruel procedures. In addition to that, we had ICT, and insulin coma therapy, ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, psychosurgeries where lobotomies was done immediately after giving an ECT when the patient is in post-vital coma. They used to introduce a scalpel into the supraorbital plate and cut the frontal lobe. Very, very cruel procedures were adopted on these patients. Along with that, there was psychopharmacology emerging out with the advent of chlorpromazine and antibiotics. And later on, they developed into more and more dopaminergic drugs, rather anti-dopaminergic drugs, which started producing a lot of side effects and a long-term usage. We had seen patients with tardive dysthonias, permanent disabilities, cardiac dyskinesias, which make the patient's life miserable, awkward. All these things actually generated some sort of a dissatisfaction even among the psychiatrists themselves that what we are doing to these people. And probably this was the seed that was sown to start this anti-psychiatry movement. And probably, if you can really figure it out, it was somewhere around 1960, or rather late 60s, the very anti-psychiatric movement picked up the momentum. I will just mention some of these psychiatrists per se who had started something against psychiatry. R.D. Lane, Robert Lane in UK, Thomas Jas in USA, David Cooper in South Africa, and of course Franco Basaglia in Italy, and of course some of you might have read the Carlet reports, David Carlet. I think these reports are still available. All these people started criticizing the way in which we treat our patients in a very inhumane way, without any scientific basis, or with our theoretical knowledge, our own assumptions. And they thought that this has to be stopped. Institutionalization has to be stopped, and this inhumane treatment of the patients has to be stopped somewhere. And these people totally deviated from the very essence of psychiatry, treating and medically managing a mental illness. And these criticisms have grown up into such a way. You must have heard about this Church of Scientology, where Hubbard has started a momentum which says that psychiatry kills people. Psychiatrists are the killers of people. They kill all the mentally ill patients because they don't accept it. So Church of Scientology had such a big influence even till early 2000s. Some of the very, very popular Hollywood actors were part of that. You must have heard about Tom Cruise. He was one of the strongest proponent of this Church of Scientology. And these people say that there is nothing like a mental illness. We create mental illness and we try to treat it very inhumane manner. And we are actually the merchants of death. Whenever we don't like a particular individual's viewpoints, we make them a mentally ill person and try to remove him totally, forever. This was the very concept of Church of Scientology. This was called as dialectics. And this momentum had grown till the period of maybe late 90s. And after that, slowly, because of the advent of very good, innovative psychopharmacological therapeutic agents, probably it started becoming lesser and lesser in intensity. But if Dr. Raju asks me, still it is there very much, but in different ways. And maybe this has done some good for also for psychiatry. Because of that, whether the mental illness really exists or not, WHO was interested in really investigating whether mental illness really exists or not. So probably that had given the impetus to start the international pilot studies in schizophrenia. And IPSS, luckily, because it was done all over the globe, across the 5 continents, it has proven beyond doubt that yes, mental illness exists. Mental illness is not a myth. It exists. It is there in every continent, every race, every creed, every religion, and it is universal. Schizophrenias do exist. They are not psychiatrist-made disorders. And of course, the IPSS has established a very scientific basis for psychiatry, and maybe that has diluted the heat that has been generated by Church of Scientology and other anti-psychiatrists who luckily had become more and less powerful to fight with the very psychiatrists. And maybe even today, if you go to most of the WPA conferences, you will see at least on one of the days, one of the 3 or 4 days of the conference, the anti-psychiatrists demonstrating at the venue where the conference is being held, saying that the psychiatrist should be removed, the conference should not be held. These people indirectly kills and spoils the mankind. So still that momentum is there, but it has been modified. Nowadays we call it as physical psychiatry. If somebody is interested, you can go to most of the websites, and actually if you type Google search physical psychiatry, you will find so many resources where, as I said, the tone had gone down, but still that unpalatability towards the very psychiatric diagnosis and management still persists in some quarters. Of course, most of the psychiatrists nowadays accept that mental illness is a reality, but there are other specialists, other activists who do not accept that mental illness still exists and whatever we are doing is right.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhakar, for giving us a detailed explanation. And it is often critically said that while other doctors discover diseases, psychiatrists invent disorders. So this is something which is quite a critical point. When you invent means something non-existent. Discovery is something already exists. Fine, manufacture is already, some material is there. Psychiatrists don't even, they do something with it and there is nothing. Anyway, so this is basically by and large a moment, but as he rightly said, there are many social activists too who make fun of disorders of mind. And apart from social activists, it's also commonly observed that many unqualified experts try to explain the functions of mind and its disorders. And one thing we are lucky to nowadays is that even existing disorders also are being criticized by these self-acclaimed experts like diabetes or hypertension, that also being taken quite a bit of beating nowadays. But apart from that, these unqualified psychiatrists, would say self-acclaimed, self-claimed experts do explain mental health, and they explain in their own way. Suppose there is a suicide occurs, immediately somebody says that something happened in the family, so he committed suicide. Recently, DIG shot himself, immediately they say that there is work pressure, he committed suicide. So, how do you see this, Dr. Ramana?
Thank you, Dr. Rajamahendravaram. In continuation of Dr. Sudhakar's talk, Recently, when we attended the APF meeting at San Francisco, in fact, there is a protest by these so-called anti-psychiatrists. And one day they have come and distributed the booklets, and they have printed everything about the psychiatrists and the compulsory admissions and violation of the human rights, and how the military psychiatrists they exploit the patients, so on and so forth. So it is there, that moment, especially in the Western countries. So in fact, recently I happened to go through a book where how this really emerged, like the Cartesian dualism. René Descartes, who is a French philosopher 400 years ago, is the one who has created dual concept, like the mind and the body are entirely different. So that is the origin of this dichotomy, especially in the Western countries. And that is the root cause for what we are now experiencing. And since ours are all colonized countries, we have got the influence of the Western psychiatry, and still we are facing that issues, especially in the countries like India, China, and those countries where there is a rich heritage from the last few thousand years. The medicine is always a holistic medicine. Both the mind and the body are together. Unfortunately, this is the one thing which we have borrowed from the West, and we are paying tax for it. In fact, in India, we don't really have this dualism. We always think health is both the interaction between the mind and the body in our Ayurveda. So that is one thing. And coming to the question proper, which Dr. N. Raju has posed to me, yes, definitely the so-called social activists, self-claimed specialists or experts in the field of mental health, the so-called motivational speakers whom we see day in and day out in the television channels and YouTube channels. And in fact, we have seen in our own association under Dr. Prabhakar's president's thing, one of the most popular motivational speaker has commented and belittled the field of mental health and counseling and psychiatrists. And our president immediately took this into action and phoned them and saw that is being deleted. Definitely we need to confront. WHO also has given us 3 ways of dealing with the stigma associated with mental health. One is educate. How do you educate? Generally, what I do is, I educate my patients and their families first. So because they are the most receptive audience, whatever you tell, they will follow it. And in fact, they are the stakeholders in the mental health issues. So if you can convince them, they can convince the other part of the, our society. That is very, very important, especially the modern explanations. They keep questioning us, doctor, why only my son has got this problem? Why he is a good student? Why he suddenly stopped talking? What happened to him? The real concern and worry. And when we try to tell them on the neurodevelopmental basis of schizophrenia and how the neural networks really act on these people, they are convinced. And also the complaints issues also. Some people say that, doctor, why there is a recurrence of the disease again and again? How we have to face? Is this really the treatment is working or not? That's what they ask us. So we need to convince them, we need to educate them. So education is very important. Number 2, we have to contact them. The other thing is, generally what we do is, we educate in the public meetings, we educate the seminars, CME programs. But the real impact will be there when you come into contact with the patient population. And then contact will help them to realize things better. The third one is the protest. We have to protest. In fact, we have seen our, Vijay Gopal and other colleagues, senior colleagues have protested through our social media about when this so-called self-motivational experts said that psychiatry is nothing. So this type of protest should be there at a higher level also. In fact, in Germany, there is one group, I think one of the groups against stigma. What they do is, they monitor the social media whenever certain things come against the mental health and the patients. They always talk to the media people and they try to alert them, okay, you please delete this or please excuse in public that whatever that is broadcast in your television or other media. So there are incidents when the media owners, they have publicly made excuses. So this is how we have to tackle the issues in the present scenario.
I think, thank you, Dr. Ramana. Perhaps you are making my job easier. The issues which we will discuss in third round, like how to tackle that, you have already discussed it. I think, and also saving Dr. Rama Reddy the time for him anyway. So now we come to the another question where Dr. UmaJyothi has a complaint against me that I have put some tough questions to earmark some tough questions for her. She doesn't realize that she is amongst all the four, she is holding the most coveted post and an administrative post. She is the principal of the medical college. She is more influential. So we thought we will put her into an area where perhaps putting that question will make her think about it and do something at the administrative level. Anyway, leaving the jokes apart, basically what we are talking about is the criticisms or the advices or misconceptions or misguiding the public by so many non-qualified people. But unfortunately, we have similar things even in qualified, our own colleagues, the doctors, the psychologists, the social workers, the nurses. Unfortunately, the knowledge they have is quite limited. Everybody thinks they can control your thing. The common advice is that control your thoughts, reduce your thoughts, as if they have a regulator in their hand. Stop negative thoughts and bring in positive thoughts as if they are available in a Spencer market or general market or in a mall. How do you see this? Why our own colleagues, who are qualified, who are educated, who can see the logic, they believe in extra, these periods, everybody goes to, even educated people go to a mullah or somebody have raksha or something. Everybody does. Yajnas or vastus. I think I'm not criticizing anybody here.
Thank you very much. Not saying it's a difficult question, but my experience is not that much compared to you people, sir. Sir, as you said, there are a lot of medical people who are G and all other things. When the patient gets exhausted of either money or if they are questioning a lot to the neurologist, then they send to us. So this we see in a lot of our medical people only. They say only severe psychosis or violent patients or suicidal patients to be treated by us, but all other disorders they can treat. Recently, I am seeing a lot of prescriptions by gynecologists also who are writing antidepressants and anxiolytics for postmenopausal women. So, not only non-medical, we face a lot of RMPs and painkillers, a lot of people doing nonsense things with our patients and who make the problem more severe and then send to us. Recently, I read in WhatsApp by one woman psychiatrist in Pune. She conducted an awareness talk for all faith healers in her place. I felt that's good. Actually, we should not avoid them or blame them. Let them come to us and have an open talk or open debate, or else at least we can suggest them till what level they can handle, some women who are suggestible or having simple anxiety disorders, but how to diagnose psychotic disorders, where they have to refer to us. At least we can have some friendship talks with them so that they can understand what is the problem rather than avoiding and pushing them away or blaming them on social media so that they give severe counters on social media. And last year we read in Vijayawada one psychologist saying all medications are unnecessary in psychiatry. We can treat even schizophrenia with counseling and psychotherapies. That day, I think the next day, I read some messages in WhatsApp group saying this is not correct. We have to write a message to the newspaper, or we have to give counter messages to him, but I don't know what action has been taken. And sorry sir, one thing, like you said, last year, the motivator speech, one famous Telugu person who said, Manovyadiki mandu ledu, we can control our own thoughts. We protested, but that is not deleted from YouTube channel. Yesterday I downloaded it to see whether it's, I just checked whether it's deleted or not, but it is not deleted. When I typed his name and typed Manasu, the first video is that where he said Manovyadiki mandu ledu. So these type of things I think we have to oppose through our association strongly, and at the same time we should start an official IPS-AP YouTube channel where we can have some good videos done by senior doctors like Karri, Rama, Reddy garu, and Raju garu, and TP Sudhakar garu, so that we can give some scientific advice, evidence-based things, suggestions to the people, rather than people just opening the YouTube channel and seeing some people who are non-medical people who are giving advices. And we can spread this message through either Instagram or newspapers that we have in YouTube channel. I don't know whether it's correct or not, but I have this idea. So this is my suggestion, sir.
Thank you, Dr. UmaJyothi. I think in fact we planned for 3 rounds, but I think as we are running short of time, and also I think a lot of things are being covered in the first round itself, perhaps we will club those 2 rounds and make it the last round. Now, in spite, Dr. Sudhakar, in spite of advances made in science in general and in psychiatry in particular, people still are not comfortable in accepting the scientific explanations of that. Still, they question their mental health, and these things are being questioned. And even if you see a gynecologist, the moment they see a pregnant woman with an anti-psychiatric drug, immediately she says stop. Whereas she does not do the same thing for an anti-hypertensive drug or an anti-epileptic drug or an anti-diabetic drug. So what do you think are the reasons for that, and what I think ways we have to combat this or stop? I think make it more scientific.
On one side we are talking about our own colleagues, doctors, who have read probably psychiatry in their undergraduation. Why these people are not aware like how to handle a psychiatric patient during pregnancy with psychotropic drugs is because our undergraduate medical education is not up to the mark. So that is totally a different dimension about which I don't want to talk. But at the same time, the same gynecologist, for various pains, she will write amitriptyline low doses without any hesitation. So this is something which we cannot go into the details, but one important thing is we have to really improve our undergraduate medical education standards as far as psychiatry is concerned, and with CBME at place, probably things are going to improve over a period of time. But coming to other things, luckily India has not seen the real heat of the anti-psychiatry movement. We have been attending so many conferences where we have not directly come across any anti-psychiatrists per se openly coming and attacking us, like what is happening in the other side of the globe. So in that way, we are little bit safe, but it doesn't mean that in future it will continue to be like this. So there are certain things probably which we have to tone up and pull up our socks and act efficiently to counteract any such things. But at the same time, you have to remember one thing. that nowadays everybody has got access to maximum information, worldwide net. So anything you can get. So there are so many private operators who publish regularly their own blogs. Whatever comes to their mind, they will just publish it. And some of these blogs become popular because of various other reasons. Anyway, we do not have a control over these blogs and other things that appear on the net. Or the other sources, like whatever goes around in the social media, like WhatsApp or Facebook. So again, we do not have any control over it, and even probably the government doesn't have a control over it. But at the same time, I think we have to strengthen our roots first, so that we are not exposed in a naked manner to all these things.
Just to interfere, do you think we are responsible for the state of affairs, not providing proper scientific explanations to the disorders which we others deal with, and we others are encouraging some non-scientific explanation of these disorders?
Yes. We have got some inherent weaknesses in the very subject which we practice. Psychiatry, if you say really, doesn't have a very strong scientific evidence, because we have multiple approaches. We talk about psycho-socio-biological model, which we practice. And psychiatrists are notorious to go and put their noses into various other fields where they do not have any know-how. We talk about the farmer's suicide. We talk about the poverty. But these are the areas we have nothing to do with. Why can't we restrict ourselves to manage the mental illness? That's what we are supposed to do. Actually, this is where probably we are also doing something wrong. Our specialty itself has got weaknesses. We do not have a definitive diagnosis which can be reconfirmed by another group of psychiatrists if they go to another center. So that is one weakness. Our classificatory systems itself have got a lot of weaknesses. So you know what is happening with DSM-5? They have enlarged all the concepts. Now we have got attenuated psychosis. What is that attenuated psychosis? Now we have made a grief reaction also into a major depressive episode. And of course, you know how we are exploiting the so-called attention deficit hyperkinetic disorder. Now we have got adult variety also. I have not seen any adult ADHD so far, even going by those standards. So I think we should avoid diagnosing as per DSM-5. That is the first thing I think we have to do. Let us listen our international classification, which is more meaningful and more practical for our country. We have to stick to that. Let us not overgeneralize things and label everybody with some disease, which probably may not be true. So we probably have to revamp our own weaknesses first. And the scientific evidence has to further enlarge. We have got a lot of technological advances that have been made. We have got wild and genomic studies. So genetic studies are going to help. And you know about RDoC, research domain classification system that's coming up. So it actually talks about the etiological aspect of most of the symptoms that we see in patients. And probably one thing which we have to first do is, as I said earlier, we have to accept our limitations. We are here with limited knowledge about understanding about the brain and mind, and we know a few things. At our disposal, we treat these patients who are distressed. We treat the families who are distressed by counseling them, by educating them. And we have to understand these limitations rather than going into the society and exposing ourselves about our ignorance about other things. I think this is the first thing we have to do. Then we have to take the caregivers into confidence, educate them about what exactly can be done for this patient, because most of our disorders require lifelong. Even though there are some remissions known in most of the patients, they have got a tendency to be done. And we actually now, our problem is we are trying to include some of the drug-related disorders also into the realm of psychiatry, and even the Mental Health Care Act also has included it. So all these things is going to really shape our position as a scientist. So probably we have to get some insights into it. And another important thing, probably, I don't know how many of you have really appreciated that our relationship with pharma. Actually, most of the time, that causes a lot of damage to our reputation. People say that this fellow owns a medical shop, he writes these drugs because he has to sell it and get some profit. Even though you don't require it, you write a medicine which is available in the pharmacy. So these are some of the diseases which we face locally rather than anti-psychiatry. I think these are some of the things which we can, to a very great extent, control. If we have some sort of a ethical way of looking at the patients, really trying to understand them, probably more humanistic approach towards the patients, talk to the families about a long-term plan for the management, because most of the parents ask me, after we die, who will look after this patient? And another area where probably we face a lot of problems and we are not sure what we are going to tell the relatives is about the marriage and divorce that happens regularly for patients. Because these are some of the areas where probably ex-psychiatrists can work out, and depending on your local situation, you have to come out with some of the answers on your own. And as far as I am concerned, one best thing for us is you have to understand our culture, our social background, and you have to accept certain practices which our people do. If patients come to me saying that I have gone to this particular dargah, or I have gone to this particular mantravati, and I have got 3-4 tabis on my body, I never say don't go to them. I accept it. I tell them, you go to them, have the treatment also, but the most important thing is that you continue my medicine. It is going to make some difference. I don't know, maybe a mantra may work, but this is also important. So I never go against their concepts. If you start confronting, then probably you land into fear.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhakar. Most probably the message which he wants to give is, we are biting more than we can chew. So perhaps time for us to introspect ourselves and see what we can do, what we cannot do, what are the areas we can enter, why the areas we should not. But the pharma and all is applicable to every branch of medicine, need not necessarily be related to just psychiatry. So let us see that. But taking a cue from Dr. Sudhakar, Ramana, even the educated people are averse to the scientific logic of behavior. I think each one is different. As we have physical variations, we have psychological variations also. Still, majority believe in those unknown forces, spirits, and also they are averse to the drugs. Suppose every psychiatric drug for them is an addictive drug or a sleeping drug. The same drug prescribed by a gastroenterologist or a neurologist is not questioned. Whereas when a psychiatrist writes it, immediately, no, don't take it, it is their habit-forming drugs, they are damaging your health, brain and all. So why they are different for psychiatric drugs, and what solutions we have to combat this or reduce this thinking process?
Thank you, sir. I have already explained previously. Actually, what I do for my patients in general is that I'll take some time to explain about the neuroscience-based treatments, because if you are very clear about yourself, about what you are doing, you can easily convince the patients. Because I'll tell them it's not like a tablet like fever tablet like paracetamol. If you take it, it will act within few minutes. But psychiatric medications, they act on the central nervous system and it will take time. And the central nervous system is entirely different, unlike an infection, like a common cold or anything like that. So this explanation in detail definitely makes them to understand the importance of psychiatric medication. And genuine patients, definitely they will accept the medication and they adhere to the treatment protocols And it all depends upon how much time you spare to the patient. It's not that just because write a prescription and then give it to them. As Dr. N. Rajagaru told, I have seen in the beginning of my career, when I went to a pediatrician to invite to my practice, annual function, he was just seeing the patient, and there the diazepam prescription is there by one of the doctors. He said, you take all the medicines except this diazepam. He didn't even inquire why that drug was prescribed to him. As he was telling, except the psychotropic medication, you can take everything else except this medicine. The same doctor, he was very much convinced when I treated one of his workers who is working in his field with a major depressive disorder. He was astonished. He said, oh, he really was cured. He's doing very well. Then even he referred his elder brother, who is the director of IIT Delhi, for depressive disorder. So it all depends upon how we convince the people and how we establish the rapport with them, and how much credibility we have established in the society as a practitioner. Definitely it matters. What we talk, they will accept it. That's what happened all these years with our senior colleagues and others. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramana. I think having discussed all this, we have yesterday were discussing about mental health care bill. It is there. Many people question why not there is a cardiac care bill, why not there is neurological care bill, why not there is gastrointestinal care bill. Does having a separate bill make psychiatric disorders or psychiatric diseases more stigmatized? Does treating those disorders do they make it psychiatrists stigmatized group of doctors among all other specialists? So do you think that such a separate law makes the scientific understanding better or worse? Does it increase stigma? Does it reduce stigma? Does it make psychiatric disorders separate from mainstream of medical specialties, or do you think something can be done about?
Thank you, sir. Sir, purely my opinion is it's good for us. Some problems are there, but still, if you can take more about this Mental Health Act into the society, and we can tell this about to our non-psychiatric colleagues that there is some Mental Health Act where if something happens to the patient, they can sue. Then I think they will stop treating our patients or admitting our patients. As Vishal said yesterday, it's one way to protect us, not only our patients, but there are some loopholes which we can address that to the government or higher authorities about that. And as T.P. Sudhakar sir said, we have to strengthen our undergraduate medical education. Particularly, we have to show some interest in teaching the students, where most of the time many medical colleges, they give more priority for exam subjects, not for psychiatry. But we can go to the students, we can give them good classes, and we can encourage them in participating in our programs or conduct small workshops for them, so that they can develop interest and understand psychiatry well, so that in future when they become non-psychiatric medical colleagues, I don't think this problem will arise later on in future. And we have to restrict giving, as sir said, information to media. Like first of all, recently one cannabis addict killed some people in Guntur. Immediately the press people has come and they said because of drug abuse, or is it because of social or family problems. They question us. But whatever we have given information, they didn't write, they have written on their own. So it gives a misinformation to the public. We have to be very careful when giving this information to the public, sir.
Thank you, Dr. UmaJyothi, and also I thank Dr. Sudhakar, Dr. Ramana for having answered some questions which require still require a lot of answers, unfortunately. And I think we have to keep the message which I think we understand is that we need to keep our own house in order. Making psychiatry more scientific. I think all of us, do understand that each behavior, each movement, each thing is, I'm sure tomorrow we are going to have an explanation for that. As Dr. Sudhakar has said, the classificatory system is quite questionable. Do we have schizophrenia? Do we have depression? Does really OCD exist? Is addiction a different disorder than something else? I think these are the questions which we need a lot of answers, because we all know that we have a lot of one disorder being clubbed with another disorder and all. So hopefully we should not, multiply the unscientific explanation already that exists in the society. Giving wrong signals, giving wrong explanation for something which we do not know. If we do not know, I think we do not know. I'm not very sure whether we have time for some questions, sir. Can we invite some questions from the audience? 2 questions.
Your permission.
Yes.
I will just add a little bit. We are not sounding pessimistic. We are very, very optimistic about the future of psychiatry, definitely. If not, maybe the psychiatry may get divided into 2 parts. One becomes a behavior. And when we joined psychiatry was not like this. Definitely over a period of 40 years, our understanding about behavior and brain have improved tremendously. At least now we have got certain instruments at our disposal.
అయితే ఇది సైకియాట్రిక్ ఒక్కదాన్నే పరిమితం కాదు, ఎంటైర్ మెడికల్ ఫీల్డ్ కూడా ఉంది. డయాబెటీస్ని ఛాలెంజ్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు టీవీలో వచ్చేసి, ఎవడు అసలు ఇది డయాబెటీస్ డాక్టర్ తయారు చేసిన జబ్బు ఇది, అసలు డయాబెటీసే లేదు అని. బ్రాంచ్ సంగతి కాదు, డయాబెటీసే లేదు, థైరాయిడ్ లేదు. చూస్తున్నాం కదా మనం అంతా, అంటే పేర్లు చెప్పడం ఉందో మాచినేని, లేకపోతే కృష్ణానది పక్కన ఒడ్డు చెప్పుకున్న ఆయన, వీళ్ళంతా కూడా మాట్లాడుతారు. టోటల్ మెడికల్ ఫీల్డ్గా ఉంది. అసలు మన ఓన్ కోలింగ్ కర్ణాటక ఆయన ప్రొఫెసర్ ఒక ఆయన ఈ మధ్య పద్మశ్రీ పేరు హెగ్డే, ఇలాంటి వాళ్ళు చాలా టోటల్ మెడికల్ ఫీల్డ్కే. సైకియాట్రీ అంటే చాలా చిన్న విషయం, టోటల్ మెడికల్ ఫీల్డ్కే అవర్ ఓన్ కోలింగ్స్ అసలు డయాబెటీస్ లేదు, హైపర్టెన్షన్ లేదు, ఏం లేదు అని చెప్పేసి. సో ఎంటైర్ మెడికల్ కమ్యూనిటీగా ఉంది, అందులో పార్ట్ అవుతాం. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ డాక్టర్ విజయగోపాల్.
Body, psychiatrists and the related things. Probably the opposition is because of their ignorance or their egoistic something as these things may be there. Probably from the society side, we have to interact with those people, the opinion builders in the society, in the community, teachers, the so-called motivational speakers. Separate sessions we should have. And we have to interact and educate them. And regarding from this thing, there are they say some motivation speaker, highly respected individual, has told about Manasa and people have tried to. At the time, I have written smart poem and read. What he said is, Manasa ledu, naaku Manasa ledu, undani meer nirupistara, I will give you 1 lakh or 1 crore rupees. That's one thing he challenged. మనసు లేని దానికి మీరేం వైద్యం చేస్తున్నారు? ఏ సైకియాట్రిస్ట్కి ఎవరు వెళ్ళక్కర్లేదు. ఏదో గుడిలోకి వెళ్ళి విష్ణు సహస్రనామం, ఒక మంత్రమో ఏదో చెప్పిస్తే చాలు. These are the things which he is challenging, and probably we react in a different way. But that I have written a poem and I put it. Somebody made it. I don't know whether it reached him or not. Because he knows I 1 or 2 times interacted with him in a different issue. మానసిక రోగానికి మందు ఏమిటని మూఢనమ్మకాన్ని 4 దిశలా ప్రసరిస్తున్నాడు. వాడు గొప్పవాడే, ఎవడికి వాడే మీ మనసును బాగు చేసుకోండి అని ఉచిత సలహా పారేస్తున్నాడు. మనసు లేని ఈ మహా మనిషి వాడు గొప్పవాడే. రండి మానసిక వైద్యులారా, మనసు లేని ఈ మనిషి జడ శరీరంలోకి మళ్ళీ మనసును ప్రవేశపెట్టి మరమ్మత్తు చేద్దాం, లేకపోతే లోకం అల్లకల్లోలం అయిపోతుంది. మనసు లేని మహాత్ముని మళ్ళీ మనసున్న మనిషిగా మారుద్దాం. ఎన్ని సిట్టింగులైన వైద్యం ఉచితంగానే చేద్దాం. ధన్యవాదాలు.
Become defensive that time. Now this change, a lot of change is there. We are not defensive nowadays. We are more like propagating positive mental health care and so many other things nowadays. That the days are being changed nowadays. One female, I can see that female went to PGs are come up. That's the encouraging change. And also more on the young colleagues, they are going out and approaching many of the fields where the advice is advice is needed. So there are a lot of changes are coming up since last 35 or 40 years. It's a positive change. Second thing is, previously when there was some advice from the gynecologist or surgeon, this anti-psychiatrist or whatever it is, they are asking us a sort of license, medical things. So then changes are coming up when compared to the last 35 to 40 years of psychiatry. So that's a good thing. So with that hope, we see more and more young psychiatrists taking up these challenges faced by society and other non-psychiatric colleagues. Thank you.
I believe that there is not much stigma in society or anywhere. The maximum stigma is in the medical fraternity, and Madam is there as principal. So what we have seen, I think all of us belong to various medical colleges. We are in various positions. How serious are we regarding house surgeonship? At least we talk about undergraduate psychiatry, that's fine. When these people come to our department for 15 days of posting, how many of us are actually doing justice to that 15 days? I have seen many places, they just chit-chat, they just sit towards the rounds. They won't be really focused on what's going on. So I had major fights with many people, including principals and medicine departments. Many places there is no house surgeon posting. If at all they are coming, then we are not serious with it. I think what I'm trying to say is the best way to remove stigma is by educating our own medical fraternity, and if we can do that, I think a lot of stigma will be removed.
Dr. Gopal.
Non-scientific. I think we are basically depending on placebo-controlled double-blind trials as a yardstick for scientific, and anything not standing up to this measurement, this acid test, we are calling it as non-scientific. But most of the drugs which are doing very well under the double-blind placebo-controlled studies, losing their shield when once they came into the market. And other therapies like right from Freud's psychoanalysis to Danaru's intensive short-term dynamic psychotherapy, and Shapiro's EMDR, and Bruce's acquired therapy, they are doing some good in the market which cannot be tested by double-blind placebo-controlled therapies. So how much science is there in our so-called scientific therapy, and do you think we need to change our yardsticks? What is your opinion?
Lot of exclusion and inclusion criteria. Again, these criteria we are not very sure. There you have to make a diagnosis as the DSM-3R or DSM-4 or DSM-5, whatever it is. So again, that classificatory system is shapeable. So leave alone that topic. RCD, as far as interventions is concerned, may be a gold standard when it comes to the efficacy of a particular drug. But that also has been questioned, if you remember, very recently, in 2008 or 2009, there was a paper which said that the difference between antidepressant and placebo in treating mild to moderate depressions is very, very narrow, and it's a biased statistical method that has been applied in a meta-analysis. So there, even whatever you are talking about becomes unscientific. We can actually mold the rules and make things work. But when it comes to the very foundations of psychiatry, starting from your psychoanalysis, psychodynamics, maybe only behavioral theories have got some sort of a substance and probably retestable. Whereas all other things, we are not very sure whether we are standing on a firm ground or not, and there is nothing to prove that we are standing on a firm ground. So this ambiguity as far as the very basis of a diagnosis is concerned, it is going to generate more biological evidence, as Dr. Raju said. Maybe all our behaviors are controlled by brain. Maybe certain areas in the brain control certain behavior, and if they go wrong, probably it will manifest as a symptom. Actually, if you see, most of the patients, at some point of time they appear like schizophrenics, at some point of time they appear like bipolars, at some point of time they appear like some other disorder. So this is what we see even in practice. That indirectly shows, as you actually practice more and more psychiatry, you realize that this classification system is apparently not full-fledged.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhakar, and once again, I see Dr. Rama Reddy Garu. I mean, restlessly standing there. So let us close it and thank once again the AP chapter, organized committee, then Dr. Rama Reddy Garu in particular, on behalf of all the four members. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us this opportunity and having the pleasure of putting the last